We have with us four remarkable poets, as you can see. And as always, time is short, so I'll make do with a few opening remarks and then invite them to read and to speak about their work. In an interview, Louise Irigaray, the French feminist philosopher, said that she did not like to be asked personal questions. She did not want people's opinions about her everyday life to interfere with their interpretations of her ideas. Irigaray believed that being part of intellectual discussions was a hard-won battle for women, and that references to one's personal life, to autobiographical material, would actually upset the apple cart and challenge the credibility of women writers, women thinkers, and so on. I think there is a model here somewhere for how gendered reading and reception can be, even when it comes to poetry and poets. But of course, women poets, writers, each find their own ways to navigate this hard question of how to be taken seriously. There's obviously no one right way at all. Should we keep the self and its trajectory out of public view always? Is it possible to do so? So this is really a question that I think each person navigates for themselves. Should we battle to be taken seriously as we are, the messy parts of ourselves that may not seem intellectual but is in so many ways? Let's hear from the poets themselves, for the best lessons are really to be found in poetry. Years of calling roll in classrooms has trained me, I think, into thinking alphabetical order. So we will follow an alphabetical sort of approach to inviting the poets here. And I will introduce them, and they will come and present their work to you. Aishwarya Iyer, who's the poet who will be going first. Her debut collection of poems is titled The Grasp of Things. She's a poet of interiority. Her images are delicate and chiseled, and the poems are nuanced, as poems ought to be. She's also, I believe, a visual artist and has done the cover for her very beautiful book. So if you get a chance, please take a look at it. It's there on sale outside. Buy all of their books, support writers and poets. So I now invite you, Aishwarya.
Thank you, Srilata, for that introduction, especially the the fine line between the personal and the impersonal that becomes a question for women poets. To be frank, I don't really like being categorized as a woman poet. I feel it's time that I'm just considered a poet and not just a woman poet, and for all poets who happen to be women. Am I audible? Okay, so I will read some poems from my book, and then I'll read some poems that have been published after that in magazines. This one's called End of a Work Day, Coimbatore. Tired droves of people descend upon roads from city buses, thinning out through streets. A bespectacled father who aches for his seven-year-old son, the smell of the first flush of youth in another's onyx eyes, the tilt of her head traps the bus driver's whistle. The lecher's hands move and dream vacant squiggles. Coal fires, wood fires scent the evening streets like incense. To the manacled forests of the government college escape those seeking recompense. Oh, the homes are deep and near in time. The days past, the body is worn. The thigh balks at its weight. Temple bells etch the unruly stem of evening, whose roots fumble in the dark, mark the arrival of gods. The home is but a maze of faces and teeth, and words that fall off tables find their own feet, and dancing make the glowing fire that lets night pass. splitting seed. I mean, as long as you can hear me, I just don't want to be too loud. Am I audible to everyone? No? I'm not audible? Okay, so I'll be louder, thanks. This one's called Splitting Seed. How often must we arise from this seed, yellow, nutted, moon-spent, tree withered? The seed splits and leaves climb out, thus flow tears, time spreads like dis-ease. The swell of mood hangs over split seed. Hands, legs, tongue, hair, bodies roam about in space. The city is a bluster, automobiles now have faces. The city where eyes wander, where stones are broken, where language has no home. Drive slow, Kanti sweets, Herculean builders, Pasta Street. The city where the hand betrays the leg, the mouth betrays the eye, where the ground breaks like seed but nothing climbs out, thus flow tears. Between us, great distances hang in the smallest of words. Yes, no, of course. Sometimes dictionaries are the end of meaning. The garbage dump got cleared. We ache to know where from we speak. How often must we arise from this seed? Afternoon flows out of the sun's tongue. The day is some kind of speech. Night falls. The city's marrow empties and its last train leaves the station of sound. There drones its silence. Trees grow bewildered, footsteps cloud at dusk, and leaves gesture blindly. Train coaches, asleep on rail tracks, blue and heaving with hesitation. Birds disappear into the past of light, roaches emerge, night falls, and darkness pools at the ankles. The murmur of voices on a moving train carried it along from Churchgate to Andheri. Buildings rise like trees. Oh fool, in this wet dark, the moon burns like a stone that wasn't thrashed into cement. The moon has left us behind, or we have surged ahead. The walker's trunk is split from her head. The door of night rises toward the sun. By the steps of shops, sweat ripens. Buses beat upon the concrete. What draws them along is the home's dull horde. What carries walkers home is the terror of night. Some bird flaps into its eye. A clang from the low horizon spreads its remnant music. Windows congeal in the dark. Everywhere eyes peel from their sockets. Streetlight unpeels from bulbs. My body emerges on the sea's surface. Silence. The dog and the frog and the tree cut up my silence. They claim each their portion, and I'm left with what quakes the ground without touching it. The tree is a face I cannot recognize. No longer eyes, ears, mouth, or sex. What oozes here is another sap. I cannot taste it. The tree is a hand, my hand denatured, fingers a strew. We hold out to the world in abeyance. We hold back what the birds have flown away to. Name. And that blessed word with no meaning, who will utter it? Agha Shahid Ali. Stars vanishing into nothingness, stop and turn back to participate in the utterance of your name that becomes the element of time. Your name breaks into numerous syllables and so brings suffering to sound. The stars race against the shatter, against time, holding your name together. Your name engulfs the splicing of days, the morning a dewdrop from your name, the night a pot for your name. Your name bristles under the earth, leaving the ground groundless. Far from the concert of stars fall crystals of duration, hours and days spent in your name. Okay, so maybe one more poem. This one's called Dream Forge. The window's maker dreamt a fugitive view. The observer's gaze is the poem's rind. The street passes through day's end. The journey's origin pulls a boat out of water. The window is a mouth organ where winds are tasted as dew. The observer turns her hooked back away from tasting the poem's fruit. The streetlight is a doorknob incarnate. The boatman looks at the sky's horse grazing at the window. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aishwarya. We now have Amal al-Sahlawi. Amal is an Emirati writer and lyricist whose work serves as a living archive of Dubai. She writes both classical as well as free verse poetry and sees herself as a link between nature and humanity. She looks at poetry as a time capsule, preserving the human spirit. And one of the things I was delighted to hear about her is that she's a poet who believes in observing and recording the ordinary. I now invite you, Amal.
Good evening, everyone. I'll keep it simple. I'll start with a question I received. Someone once asked me, why are you too extra? So this was my answer. I'm colorful and plain. I'm colorful and plain, exciting and mundane. I'm everything and nothing, the sins of the saint. I'm the happiest human, but I'm also sad, the loudest laugh that made peace with pain. The forests, the deserts, beaches and mountains, stargazer by night, cloud chaser by day. I bloom in wild silence. I thrive under city lights. I'm bold in the storm and shy in the crowd. I wear my wounds like the biggest diamond ring because they shine when the light hits right. You say I'm too much, too loud, too deep, too tender, too strange. But tell me, my love, if I'm so extra, why do you still feel like not enough? The second one is not all that's visible was meant to be seen. You'll see in the distance what cannot be seen, and ask time's permission to grow older with grace. But youth won't be stolen by hours that trace, and wisdom won't stumble or lose its place. You'll understand after all you've endured what was, why what had to happen could not be deterred. Your war in a flash will give birth to peace and mountain of calm that will never cease, and the winds that once fought your dreams will carry your dreams like ships that prevail. Your skin will break open to reveal a design, a version of truth that was always divine, and those wolves you feared in the dead of night will rise as your army to fight your fight. Every road that dodged your step will lay down a bridge for your feet to accept. Afraid, even the brave have paused. The heart is not a stone, nor bound by laws. Sad, maybe the universe, sad, maybe the universe chose you instead, blew out your cave to light up your head, your presence, a miracle, wild and rare, and the power in weakness no scholar could spare. Your triumph now echoes through valleys and years, a whisper of victory beyond all your fears. The fire you spark in the moment, the fire you sparked in the moment of truth will never be mocked. It's proof upon. They cannot hear me? Okay. No, the last two verses. Am I clear? Okay. The fire you sparked in the moment of truth will never be mocked. It's proof upon proof. I see what you see. I see how you see, and not all that's visible was meant to be seen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Amal. We now have Smitha Sehgal. Smitha is a lawyer poet. She straddles two professions, both of which value precision in language. Both, of course, use language to persuade, to argue a case. Smitha's book, How Women Become Poems in Malabar, has been critically acclaimed. A couple of days ago, I was reading her poem Red Husk and was struck by Smitha's playful use of the word ayo, a word I identify deeply with as a Tamilian. There is a rootedness in Smitha's work which I find increasingly rare and very, very endearing. I now invite Smitha Sehgal.
Thank you, dear Srilata, for that introduction. Namaskaram, Bengaluru. Thank you for having me here. I write the language of seasons, rivers, and oceans. I write to preserve the extinct memories of my past life. The first poem, which I'll be reading today, is from my debut collection of poems, how women become poems in Malabar. Red husk. So you see, we always peppered our laughter with an ayo in dying jasmine flowers, strung, taunting, Arabian Sea swirling beneath our feet, drawing earth. We pickled our sorrows with an ayo, tangy as palm toddy, brought down in clay pots, stored in dark cellars of memory. We salted and smoked our wounds with an ayo in the wood-planked attic, flesh stinging, flaring, throbbing, shrinking, leaving indelible buds on earth's skin. We sugared crumbs of our love with an ayo, letting ants climb over walls of silence when the rain broke into summer nights like a thief. Hot, humid taste of char on our tongue rolled in ayo, strange annotations of primordial rituals, tremor of sea fever, lilting songs of daily conversation. Ayo is more than a word or sound you would ever browse through in a dictionary. It is the red husk that clings to my grain. My second poem is titled Brown God's Child. This is the first poem from my second collection, which has come out from Airbag Press, UK, just in the third week of July this year. Brown God's Child. My gods are forest dwellers, their skin marked in burnt caramel of tropical sun. On Amavasya nights, they feast on flame-tossed cassava and salted mackerel. Sounds in my language are symbols of dark and light, half Sanskrit, half Dravidian. Color of the sea, the smell of ripe paddy. Don't speak your tongue, they are blood clots, I'm cautioned early on. Discordant as though pebbles rattling in a box. Once, in the closed space of an elevator, I turned into shifting sands. The girl beside me shuddered as though the moon had wept from empty madness. Your hair is a mass of tangled roots and coiled secrets of equinox, says autumn. Come night, I slow off my body and wander into faithless verses. The next poem is Reincarnation. Oracle is a very important tradition in Kerala. Velichapada, we call in Malayalam. On the night of Oracle, we slay the gods, drink from our woes and wounds, eat our flesh charred on the spit, resurrect the dead. The moon refuses a prophecy. 1,000 eyes flutter on the banyan tree. Our spirits bound in yellow threads, dead ones, I kiss your parched lips to seek forgiveness. Swing your hammock thrice. Now that I have lit your pyre, turned you into dust and ash, and the sea has taken you into its ashen fold. Once again, we shall bring down pots of arrack at the horizon. By what strange retribution our language stays beyond the tide? So I turn this black marsh of blood into filaments of sunlight, stride long and far from the mad shores into this depth of waters to search for my lost kin. Each night, hunted by the hymns, they knock on the doors of my sleep. The oil lamp in its dying flicker casts shadows. Cicadas crawling inside my forest head, draped in spell, sipping on my veins. A flying oyster from the cloud to the moon, swaying, whistling like bamboo reeds to the westerly monsoon. We light the stars, tuning the melodies. They grow in my belly, rib cages, ash foot, dirt claws, the bullet of memory lodged in moth's blindness when rain arrives. I walk barefoot along the saffron-clad pilgrims, bringing tears from the sacred rivers. My ovaries, ripe to birth wandering souls of ancestors, in their exact replica of eyes, ears, and mouth, again and again. So, the last poem which I'll be reading is an ode to Elizabeth Indrani Amritanayagam. This poem appeared in the latest issue of Indian Literature Sahitya Academy, issue 348. Elizabeth Indrani Amritanayagam. Now, Elizabeth Indrani Amritanayagam is my very dear friend, Indran Amritanayagam's mother, and she passed on last year. So this is a note to her. Elizabeth Indrani Amritanayagam smelt of hydrangea flowers. Ripe autumn leaves lay scattered by our feet. Holding out a bunch of sea breeze, I whispered that I'm a neighbor on this side of an island, separated by the strip of Arabian Sea. A carnival in the flicker of eyes, of coconut groves and trumpeting elephants, of tropical sun tempered in salt and curry leaves. On the night of her departure, I stood by the lighthouse, watching sea crabs scurrying back into nothingness. Stars melted in the streaks of dawn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Smitha. I now invite Shirani Rajapakse. Shirani is a poet whose work is fueled by anger at injustice. You see this particularly in her collection, The Way It Is. Shirani writes also, she writes of suffering, she writes of decay, death, of past lives. I visited her blog and found there a poem titled Control, which is essentially a conversation between a man who wants to sort of, no surprises, control the speaker, who's a woman. Just a couple of lines from that. He tells me I'm wasting my talent writing poems, write about politics and world affairs. And the speaker, the woman speaker, responds, but I do, I say, and show him my poems. I now invite Shirani.
Thank you, Srilata. Ayubowan, Bengaluru. It's lovely to be here and reading poetry to you again. The poems I'm reading today are a little difficult. They were difficult to write, the subjects were difficult, and I hope you bear with me on that. This one's called On the Way Home. They made a movie on a bus riding round town. No one heard the songs or saw the dancers. The action stars were new. Later, someone threw in a name, Nirbhaya. On and on they moved around Delhi's leafy avenues, curtains drawn while the engine kept time to the sounds inside. No cuts, no breaks. The actors played their part. The heroine protested, like all heroines do. A new face, she was dressed for the part. An item girl, they sang as she danced. Munirka to Dwarka, it purred on its way. The wheels turned round and round as the winter chill crept through the leaves on the trees and a single leaf fluttered to the ground, torn apart. It fell across the road and no one took note. Just another leaf among so many in the city. Action spent, the bus came to a stop. But before they could shoot again, the city rose in wrath to demand a ban on the script's repeat. Candles lit, they waited it out, but the wheels grind slowly round and round. And while the old men argued in vain inside colonial walls, another leaf fell silently to the ground. Thank you. This one's asking for it. They say I'm asking for it because they don't like the clothes I wear, want to put me in a shroud. Yet the picture on the net someone posted the other day says it all. The man groping a woman in a burqa, all covered up like a big black garbage bag. Nothing showing, not even the eyes. But no, I'm wrong. I'm a woman. I should know better. Dress decently, whatever that means. Don't show your arms, your legs, your midriff. Your neckline's too low. The eyes wander down the road. The t-shirt too tight. Your breasts pop out. Don't you realize they are meant to stand up strong, not flop down like a lonely phallus stuck tight between your legs? Do you realize those words thrown at me don't make sense? Don't wear jeans. It's not in our culture. We are conservative, Asian. Jeans, foreign. They are too tight. They excite men when you move. Don't roll your hips when you walk. You are tempting them merely by walking from here to there. Don't go out late at night. You are asking for it. Don't wear those clothes that stick to your body like another skin. You can't blame him if he does something he's not supposed to, like rape you behind a dumpster or somewhere less conspicuous. That's not his fault. It was you, all you. You were inviting him, remember? You look at me and decide for yourself even before I've opened my mouth to tell you anything. The way I dress seems to say consent to you to do what you want. A fleeting look your way and you get all excited. I led you on by giving you the look when I only glanced your way to check if you were about to attack me, as I felt your ugly stares running all over my body like you were undressing me. Don't cross your legs. It turns them on. You are soliciting it. Leave your legs where they are, preferably at home, with the rest of you. That would be best, because he needs to go someplace, and you are distracting him, making him want to do things he wouldn't dream of if you weren't there. He's such a good man, a model citizen. It was just that you were asking for it. In the desert. How many stones does it take to die? Who will count the numbers, picking up each stone one by one? Will they be added up before and left in little mounds, groups of 10, 20 or more at the periphery of the grounds? And will they then, after the act takes place, Pick up the stones scattered around and examine them. See how many carry traces of blood, morsels of brain, pieces of eyes slithered out in a vain attempt to hide. And will they then decide this was what it took to end it? Will there be someone standing with a clock, timing every move, every sound, every cry, taking notes, making comments at the side of the page every time a stone makes its mark? And will he yell out in glee when that takes place, just like the rest? Or will his lips remain sealed, the silent worker performing his God-given task to perfection? And how will they know which was the fatal blow? Would her muffled cries have ceased to rise on the wind, a terrified ant calling out above the roar of the crowd, raining down like the monsoon in her home? Would that be the sign, or would her head have stopped moving, trying desperately to duck after each blow, as if to prevent the next and the next and the next falling down like confetti on her, stuck tight inside a hole in the ground? Would they stop sporting at the end of an hour, or two, or three, when every stone on the mounds have piled up in a strange design around her head, a halo of granite covering her from view? Or would they approach gleefully, pick up the stones for another round? What do the stones look like? Do they come in different shapes and sizes, with unusual hues against the grain? Does someone go in search of them to a specific place, a quarry at the edge of town that supplies them in abundance, hold them in his palm, run his fingers lovingly over the surface, checking for rough edges, the harder, the better? And who makes the final choice? Who decides the rules of the game? How many stones do you need to kill a woman? Is it the same amount needed to kill a man? Or is there a difference in the sexes? A mountain for a woman, a mere pebble for a man? Who makes the decisions? It is all men, always the men. Yet someone once said a long time ago, he that casts a stone against another should be free from sin. Not now, not anymore. Those words lost, buried deep in the sands of time, to be resurrected no more. Is that it? I have one more short poem. This is called The Journey. You tell me my sentences are too long, with no stops for breath. But I tell you that it is so. The twists and turns of the road winding through open valleys that lead straight into the orange-red sun beckoning from the horizon, lighting up the low shrubs on either side golden, or ascending hills stretching their necks to nuzzle against clouds, is long and far. I like traveling down the road with no stops, only a few pauses to define the way. So please let me enjoy the journey and my long sentences. I have a right to travel this road or any path I desire, just as you have the right to stop along the way, check into a room, enjoy a leisurely swim. We are two beings with as much right to be here, I with my long sentences, you with your pit stops. Thank you.
We have, I think, 1 minute. come out for questions if you want to address it to the panel as a whole, and maybe someone can take it. We have a couple of minutes, actually.
Thank you all. This diversity of voices, I have one common question, is that you bring deep experiences from your life world, at the same time deep philosophical concerns as it is experienced through the concrete moment. So if you can reflect a bit on this journey of your own life worlds, like yourself, Sriharini, and this whole philosophical questions, anthropology, philosophy, and literature. And my second query is the kind of, okay, it's fine.
Could you please repeat the question? I didn't hear the beginning, yeah.
Hi, thank you. My common question, because you bring a diversity of poetic creativity, and you can reflect on that, you know, the life world experiences you are bringing, suffering. At the same time, many other poets bring deep, you know, philosophical questions, eternity of language, the metaphors in your poem, Smitha, the deep metaphors, you know, giving birth to wandering souls. So if you can reflect upon this multiple intertwining, bringing together of life world experience, philosophy and poetry.
I think Shirani has... Anyway, I'll answer. Yeah. I think we all speak from our life experiences and our effort to dilute and erase the deep entrenched patriarchal mindset.
I think as women writers, we have a different role, that we are talking about ourselves, we're talking about what happens, you know, the treatment of women and how we, you know, respond to that. It's kind of, it comes deeply out of us, of all of our experiences. I think that's, you know, and I think also, for me personally, and I think some of them as well, we write to remember, and for others to remember as well, about things that some people forget. But we as poets, we write to remember.
I don't think it's possible to do any kind of literary writing without deep experience. So I don't think it's the preserve of women writers necessarily. And I do also think that poetry and philosophy have a shared interstice. And in the ancient sort of eras, not just in India, but in ancient Greece, a lot of philosophy was really just written in poetry. So it's not a new thing. Thank you.
I think, not to belittle the experience of men, but I think women are better witnesses on the history of the world, because we don't just try to win, we try to understand, and that's what makes our experience different in that sense. Thank you.